they're going to have the pain of childbirth. I mean, this is all myth and legend, but that's how these things start. So both men and women, if you like, have definite disadvantages purely by the fact that they are men and women. So yes, so that's advantages of being a man and being a man. And I'm not sure either of us have sort of come up with too many great positives. So let's look at the negatives because this could
Right.
make us even more depressed. Actually,
Right.
depressed without being funny about it. Did you
All
know,
right.
and you probably do because we talked about it before, but in the
Mm.
UK, every day at an average of 14 men commit suicide. Men have three quarters, 74% of all suicides in this country. And up to 50, between I think 24 and 50 are the most vulnerable ages. But yes, I mean, more men lose their lives in this country through suicide than vehicle accidents, for example. So yeah, 14 men every day. So life can be tough on men and women, of course, but there does seem to be a major issue with male suicide, which is just worth mentioning as we're going into this. So, can you tell me some of the disadvantages, if you haven't already said some, I don't know whether you have, of being a male? Things you think, well, that's not very good. It's just because I'm a man, I get these disadvantages. What do you think?
Um, it would depend on what part of the world you're in. It would depend. So in Saudi Arabia, for instance, men have men don't have what we have here. The women are not allowed to go out on their own. So, it depends on what part of the world what we're focusing it on.
Yeah.
Uh, but the disadvantages of being a man is numerous. So, for instance, um, children seem to love their mothers more. Boys, they seem to, I'm not saying all of them, but a good percentage of boys actually respect their mothers more than perhaps they would their dads. And that's sad because, the man is the one that was there, bringing in bread for the family when the woman was, looking after the child. And he does that all his life, and he protects the family, and he'll, every little thing. It's the man, what you gonna do about this? What you gonna do about this? And you do all that, and yet the people you did it for take you for granted.
Mm.
It's a sad state of affairs for me, when I look at it. I think more men deserve more recognition when it comes to being in the lives of children, or and I don't know what's caused that, and we're not here to discuss that political side of things, but I just think emotionally, men are they they're worse off emotionally, and I
Mm.
wouldn't be surprised at the statistics. I know it's a true statistics about 14 men committing suicide, and this is not, and we're not even taking into account the ones that would have high blood pressure due to the stress
Yeah.
in the family, or the ones that would develop stroke or whatever, relating to having to look after this family. We're not talking about those. We're talking about those that, one way or the other, fed up with it. You know, but we're not saying all of them are fathers, and we're not saying
Mm.
all of them are married, but we're just saying, they're just fed up with the state of world affairs. If a man started crying, right? I mean, your fellow man would say to you, dude, just, man up, or or stop crying like a girl or whatever, the connotation would be that you're being soft. You need to harden up, toughen up. And that is not the case. Men feel the same emotional emotional problems or emotionally down as same as women, you know. Um, but you're not allowed to cry. You are never allowed to cry. I knew that from when I was growing up. My mom would say to me, what are you crying for? You're crying like a girl. And that's coming from a woman. And she says to me, you're crying like a girl. And I just learned not to. So I tend to bottle up everything inside. And I'm not surprised why a man would decide to just end it all. I'm not surprised. But I think society is starting to wake up to that fact. Society is really trying to wake up to that fact, because sometimes I'll speak to my mom on the phone, and she'll say, "Oh, what's happening?" I'll just be, "Oh, yeah, this certain job that I'm doing is not really working out," and da 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 da. And one time I was surprised. She said, "Well, if it's not working out, I don't want you getting to the point where you're thinking of, ending it all." And I'm thinking, whoa, 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 that's not where I'm going. But that's the realization, isn't it? She sees it firsthand. What's happening to men all around the world when they get to that stage? They just think, you know what? I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to be a disappointment to anybody. So I'm just gonna quietly, it's like a kind of it's like men trying to dignify themselves by just they take it out of the hands of everybody else, because they don't want to be seen as being weak. They don't want to be seen as being a failure. They don't want to be seen as not measuring up. And so they just think, you know what, at least I don't have to put up with this by ending it all. And that is not the best solution, actually. Like you said the last time, you said it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. But sometimes these problems don't seem temporary, do they? It seems like there's no end to it. You look at it and you think, whoa, when am I ever gonna get out of this? When am I